affected communities and local livelihoods that have been destroyed, etc., etc.
Well, the objective is to create a banking sector that really operates in the service of society and that contributes to achieving society's goals as they've been defined and agreed upon by the world's nations in the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Climate Agreement.
We see the responsible banking principles as an umbrella framework whereby we integrate the Paris Agreement and the UN SDGs into our business, and also all the national plans that all the governments have in our home markets.
This is a comprehensive framework to help banks become really responsible. And to take responsibility for their actions, for their impact on society. Quite simply, with these principles, these banks are committing to integrating society's sustainable development goals in all areas of their business.
The role and the intention of the principles is to operate as an overarching, let's say, an umbrella, which actually shows the way. It has the vision, it shows the way, and it shows the direction.
When we looked at the principles, we're very happy to see that there was a lot of consistency with what we already do. So it means scaling up, accelerating, basically. It's really having an external initiative to which we can refer to internally, so that people won't think that we strange CSR people have invented something at the top of our heads, and that all the other banks are also doing the same things. That's really important.
At the end of the day, the support from the leadership within the bank. It is clear that you need that support to get all the units and areas engaged, because you have to commit with the bankers, also for risk areas, also from research and sustainability teams. So that's really, really critical. No? And then the second one would be this iterative approach. So you need to set a big umbrella and then targets you can redefine step by step. It's a long journey, so I think this is a compass that we need.
We really see 4 different areas where investors and banks interact. So investors own banks. Most banks are public entities, and so investors are shareholders or buy bank debt in the way that they would buy and invest in other sectors. And so there's sort of ESG expectations that they would have for banks as they might have for other sectors in which they invest. So that's area 1. The second area is that investors are often clients of banks. So they might buy data, they might use bank brokerage or funding services, and so they expect sustainability to be very much part of service provision. And then the third area is that investors can often also be banks, and so there are a number of examples where you have an asset management and a banking part of one group, BNP Paribas, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, for example, both asset managers and banks. So the expectations across the group in terms of sustainability. And the final one, which is a little bit more difficult to explain, is that banks are obviously systemic in the performance of the economy as a whole. They're such important actors, and most investors are universal owners. So they invest in the performance of the economy as a whole. So they're very reliant on banks to have good culture, to be well governed, in order to ensure that they have a good rather than a bad effect on that economic performance.
The most important element of these principles is that it attracts top-level commitment and support from the bank. It is absolutely critical that everybody in the bank is sure and it's clear to them what the direction of travel for the institution is. But I don't think that's enough. I think you also need to empower the kind of the bottom-up leadership, and you need to have your employees and your colleagues feeling a sense of empowerment, that pursuing sustainable opportunities and generating new business in that area is very welcome. It's part of the reward structure, it's part of the appraisal structure, so that they don't do this on the size of their desks. Because the whole aim of the principles for sustainable banking, I think the underlying aim, is that at one point in time, hopefully fairly soon, sustainability isn't a silo, but it's just the way of doing business.
I'm very proud that we are among the first ones to endorse the principles for responsible banking, because it gives a clear framework for banks to work in the transition and in helping the transition towards a sustainable economy.
We think that a lot of banks have so far just mentioned or referenced the Paris Agreement but not said that they will explicitly align with it, so we think this is really a huge step forward and potentially really a game changer. What's now really important is to look over the coming months and years how banks are going to implement these principles. While the wording is really great and we agree with pretty much all of it and it's very much aligned with what we've been asking for, banks now really need to put their money where their mouth is in a way and really show that they're serious about these issues.
Well, we expect first and foremost to be a contributing member, and we're delighted to be part of the original group that has committed to the principles. And I think because of that, we recognize that it's important that we have this robust coalition of banks who are coming at this set of issues from a wide variety of perspectives, who have their own particular challenges to overcome. And then indeed, if we can get our minds together and our efforts together to advance the whole sector, that we'll all be better off.
I mean, rebuilding the trust, but also, more proactively showing that the banking sector has a crucial role to play in the future. I think it is crucial for the banking sector to define in this 21st century with changing economy, changing society, but also, increasing technology, potential for disintermediation, to show what is our value add and why does society need us, what is our role, what can we contribute?
This initiative, the Responsible Banking Principles, in some place they summarize the main topics the banking industry is facing, because if you take a look at different initiatives, some one are regarding climate change, other ones are regarding social impact, other ones are regarding governance, environmental social risk, and this, the Responsible Banking Principles summarize the main topics on social, ethics, environmental, and even also governance, because also has to take something with governance. So maybe they're too much, but this summarize or embedded all the different topics as a responsible bank we're facing.